Here we are back with Sadie on Trunner number 4. So we're going to work on duration and distance, me leaving the room, me leaving the apartment in itself. She's very impulsive, so we want to work on a lot of this. The way that I correct her and put her back is I grab the leash and I apply the pressure until she's back onto the same position as we know. And this just gets it in her head. Okay, this is where I should have been in the first place. I do not reward after a correction. We already know this, but just to remind you, we want to make sure that they work twice as hard for their reward and they only get rewarded when they complete the desired behavior. So opening the door was a distraction. I'm practicing the third D. I do realize that she can really only handle distance and duration right now, so distraction is the next one I'm going to work on next week. But for now, I just try to see how much I can do. I do some knocking, I do a door opening, I try to go past the door. So you're gonna see, you're gonna observe what I do, and then after this session, I go into a more engaged walk outside the apartment. So yeah, hope you enjoy. No. Good. No. So you can see here that she's been breaking it a little bit more consistently, and it takes me a little while to get back to her. So the main thing that we need to do is improvise, because she is understanding what to do, but she has these moments of breaking it very quickly. I decide to tie her to the crate so that she can stop breaking it as much. And it's not really breaking it as much, it's just mostly keeping her from getting 3 to 5 steps closer. It's more of you can only take one step and you get a correction. You get a correction immediately after you get off. And she's gonna get it. She's gonna get a couple corrections. She's basically doing it to herself because it's her own body weight that is making that pressure happen. So you're gonna see, you're gonna observe. I still do the distractions. I'm jumping around, going to open the door, going past the door, doing some knocking. But now it's a matter of her staying there. And you're going to see she does do some good ones and she does keep breaking it. So I'm going to try to manage it a little bit better next time. You'll see here. No. Down. Good. Good. Is it locked? Can I? It's not locked. All right, cool. Just checking. So I can close it all the way. Okay. Good job. Yes. Good job. Yes. Good. Yes. Good. Down. This way. Down. Good. Good girl. Good. Good job. Good. No. Down. Good. Almost. No. This way. Down. Good. So I want you guys to notice it took maybe 4 to 5 corrections, and what I did instead of knocking was I just stopped knocking so that she can get it right. I want her to succeed. I don't want to keep correcting her. So if you need to take a couple steps back because she's failing so much, then go ahead and do so. I thought she could handle it, but I guess not, and that's perfectly okay. That just means that we need to do more work on our end and make sure that she doesn't break it too often. um, yeah, so you saw how she passed it. I broke her off after, and then now she keeps going back to breaking it. So she's gonna understand, well, every time I break this, I get a correction. And slowly she's gonna understand, if I don't break it, I'm gonna get a reward. She's just so used to it because she zooms past us, she zooms past the door, and maybe it's a little bit of separation anxiety. I can't really tell yet, but I'm gonna try to figure it out a little bit better. I also want to remind us that we are not always going to have perfect sessions. Sometimes we can have sessions that we're like, oh my God, she did amazing. She was an angel. And then there are going to be other sessions when she's like being so wiggly and bouncing around and just doing all these things. So, dogs, just like humans, have good days and bad days. And so, the quicker you can catch yourself getting frustrated and her getting frustrated, the quicker you can reassess and maybe take a break and be like, you know what? I think you're just not ready to train. And that's perfectly okay. Um, and that's what I do here. I just make sure that after the realization, I end on a good note with something that I know she can do. So in this case, I just close the door a little bit. I say good. I want to make sure I don't end frustrated and she doesn't end frustrated. Like, we both should look forward to the next training session. So if you catch yourself getting frustrated, reassess, end on a good note, end on a good sit, end on a good down, end on a good place, whatever you want to do, so long as it's something that you've practiced, something that she knows and she does really well. And then you can start training again later. So I decided to take a break after this, and I believe I give her some water. Then I take it outside of the room into the where the counter is by the door, and now we're happy again to train. But it's about shifting your mind and making sure that you actually are looking forward to it instead of thinking that it's a chore. So break time happens. I move on to practicing other commands, and then we move on to the door exercise, where she understands that the door is a boundary that she can't cross. That door exercise can be applied into a car as well, or any doorway. But notice how I reposition her. We want to reward the sit when she is next to us. So you're gonna see her body where she sits. She's basically next to me, right? And the last thing I wait for is the eye contact. You can't see, but she's waiting for the eye contact. The moment she gives it, I mark. Perfect. And then I continue practicing not just the sit, but I practice the down, and I make sure she understands to stay there next to me, and if I move, she should still stay. So right there, she's on a sit. And then afterward, she starts practicing the down. And even though she was next to me, I can move. Just because I put her on a down and then I move doesn't mean she needs to follow me. Down means down until I tell you you should go with me or you can break it. But notice how I go behind her, I reward her there. I try doing it again, and then she breaks it, so I reposition her. And practicing her being in these stagnant positions are going to be the main things I want you to practice inside the home. So let's say you're cooking, you put her on a down for 5 minutes, you reward her, you can move her into a place, then later on you go cook again, practice rewarding her after 5 minutes, And just repeat the process. You want to make her understand that it doesn't matter where you are, it's a matter of what you told her to do, and she should continue doing it. If you just want her on the place, then by all means keep her on the place and you don't have to worry about it as much, but just don't let her get off on her own. Moving on to the door exercise, I want her to know that she can't rush through the door, and the only way she can go past the door is through the OK command. Most of the time, she just wants to zoom past us and go see what's outside. So she's associated outside with excitement, more energy, more fun than us. And so now I want her to understand, like, even if it's open, you need to look at me, you need to check in, and I will tell you that you can go through. And even if you don't go through, just know that I'm more important than whatever's happening outside. This is where practicing just opening and closing the door and rewarding her afterward for staying with you is important. Notice how right there I told her free, and then I started petting her, and she was like, oh, so we're going through. And I was like, no, that's not an invitation to go through. So I want to reward her for choosing to stay inside, and then I'm going to correct her for passing. Very black and white for her, but she should catch on very quickly, especially if you guys continue this exercise. Then afterward, we start proofing. When she's inside, I just say good and she stays there. But sometimes when you need to, you can use your body. Notice how my leg just comes out. You can use your body as some pressure to back her up. And that's usually when she makes a mistake. So if she's going past, then you can just kind of use the leash pressure, obviously. But if you want to use your body, you can just use your body, and that energy that you're gonna give out is gonna push her back. Most of the time, you should use the leash, but sometimes you just need your body because you don't need to do that much pressure from the leash. Just pick and choose your battles, okay? Now here we are with the same exercise, just from a different angle. And what I'm trying to do is get her excited near this area and let her know that even though she's excited, she can't pass by. And this is the true test, because she's already excited to just go through. And now I want her to be excited to interact with me. And I will tell her if we go through or not. Remember, the word is going to be okay. And we just want to practice going inside, outside, outside, inside, and she just gives eye contact for it. So we end off with this one, and then on the next video, you're going to see that she is outside and we practice going up and down the stairs, all those things. But right now, finishing off with the proofing, make sure you say good while you proof, and then you can fake her out sometimes to kind of test her. Make sure that she knows it's the clear communication that you are creating, instead of just motions that you're doing, and she's kind of anticipating the command. And once you take everything outside, you want to make sure she's not finding any loopholes on the behaviors that she already knows. So here, the loophole she's doing is she's sniffing the rug. And I'm saying, no, you got to come back to me, give me some eye contact, and I'm going to break you from this behavior. You can't just check yourself out from here. So the point of everything is teaching her the foundation, what is expected of her, and then refining it outside and making sure that it's just as good outside than it is inside. So if you guys see that she's kind of falling off, gets too distracted, then maybe we need to just do a little bit more work inside before we go outside. So in this instance, she jumped. I know personally that she needs work on that. She has gotten a little bit better, but I, for some reason, get her too excited and she decides to jump like, I love you. And I want her to know, like, hey, even though you feel that way, you got to stay your paws on the floor. And so I will work on that. That's going to be a priority for next week. But we're going to run through some scenarios for her so she understands that after all of that dopamine rush, she still needs to make the right choice and go from excited to calm, instead of just let that excitedness or the arousal take over and then now she lost control. doing these misbehaviors that we do not want. But yeah, we'll get to it.
Nope. Sadie, yes.